This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
Hey, Ape fans! Talking Apes TV is back! And even though we covered both Planet of the Apes TV series, well, we thought we would now branch out and get to know the people involved in the films, the TV shows, and the fan communities. But, as always, I wouldn't be able to do it alone. Here is my Talking Apes TV co-host, Mr. Mark Ogushewitz. Hey, Mark. How does it feel to be back?
Hey, Rich, feels great to be back, but it always feels great to be talking Planet of the Apes.
You know what? Just as soon as we announced our hiatus, the Ape fans out there, they showed their love and support and said, hey, we want more Talking Apes TV. So we came back now with Talking Apes TV Special. I love that name. You're kind of on the fence. So do you want to be the one to decide a new name, or should we put it out there to the apes?
I think we should put it out there to the apes.
Okay. If you guys think Talking Apes TV Special is a good spin-off name, well then go ahead and leave a message on our Facebook page.
We could technically call it like the Planet of the Apes mini podcast, because these episodes are going to just be basically interviews and they're probably going to be a little bit shorter.
Yeah, well, you know what? It wasn't our fault. There was so much to discuss in those episode breakdowns.
We went into a lot of depth with those episodes, and some of those shows ran 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And I'm not sure the interviews are going to run that long. But then again, this is Talking Apes TV, so you never know.
Well, you know, we did have breakfast with a certain Apes cast member. And if you're watching our Facebook page, you know where that is by now. But a quick breakfast we were planning on having turned into a whole morning. So I can't wait to record that.
Should we tell people who that is?
Let's leave it as a surprise.
Okay.
Unless you want to tell them now. Now I'm on the fence with this.
I think we should
Go ahead and tell them.
All right, we should let them know, because then they can look forward to it. And we had breakfast with Bobby Porter,
who plays Cornelius in Battle for the Planet of the Apes. And don't forget, he was also in the live-action TV series. He was the first ape we saw in the very first TV episode, the first live-action TV episode. He was the one with the dog. So he's the one who ruined all continuity with this dog thing.
And we will definitely have to make sure to talk to him about that.
And who else did he play?
Well, he played in my personal favorite of the TV episodes, Remus, in the Good Seeds episode.
So it's going to be a lot of fun talking to him, because he has lots of stories, not just about apes, but about a lot of things, including, Mark, your favorite holiday movie.
Prancer. I love talking about Prancer. It's a great, great movie, and I believe he said he was the stunt coordinator on it.
Yeah, he's like 70% stunt coordinator, 30% actor, because he does do a lot of roles, hence Cornelius in Battle for the Planet of the Apes and the live-action show, but his resume is more full of stunt coordinating.
Right, and I tell you this, the only reason I believe that our conversation with him went as short as it did is because I had to leave. If I didn't have to leave, I think it would have gone on much, much longer, which is a good thing that I had to leave, because it would have left nothing for us to talk about on the episode. And he had a lot of really, really great stories that I can't wait to share with our listeners.
And Mark, before you left, what did we talk about?
Well, we talked about Gary Dubin.
Oh my, he's got some stories. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here, and our discussion with Bobby Porter is for another special episode. So Mark, lead us into today's guest.
So for our first Talking Apes TV special, we have someone from the Apes fan community.
Now, for those longing for more content on the original films, shows, and cast and crew stories, well, new material can be few and far between these days, unless you head over to Hunter's Planet of the Apes archive and pore over their great fanzine, Simian Scrolls.
Simian Scrolls includes interviews, articles, comic strips, and so much more. And here with us now to talk apes is one of the Simian Scrolls writers, Dean Preston. Hey, Dean.
Hello, how is everybody?
We are great and ready to talk some classic apes.
Well, that sounds good by me.
Oh, good. Yeah, we want to welcome you to our Talking Apes TV special. we no longer have any more apes on TV to talk about, so we'll talk to the fans, we'll talk to actors and the crew members, and wow, there's so much to talk about. However, let's talk about you and your fandom. Now, where did your fandom start?
Oh, crikey. It started with the going to the local cinema to see Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which goes back a long, long time. From then, it was literally, I was hooked.
So your ape fandom really started with the films. I know some people, some Talking Apes TV listeners, their ape fandom started with the TV shows. Like, woohoo, right on.
Yeah, no. Mine started with the films. Yeah.
And how about the TV shows? When did you last see the series?
Last saw the series was on DVD, but I actually caught it when it first came out. But it was in the days when you didn't have a video recorder, so you couldn't record the things, and then they repeated it a few years later, which managed to get it onto VHS. But yeah, and there's nothing better than DVD now to watch it all.
Right. I know one of the impetuses for starting this podcast was that we wanted to watch the Planet of the Apes TV show, but was it going to hold up? Well, let's do a whole podcast around it and see if it does, and we'll talk about each and every episode. And as we found out, wow, each episode really does stand up. I know Mark is a huge fan of the episode The Horse Race. So
let's not go into that one, okay? No horse race discussion today.
I know how to push his buttons.
So were you a fan of the TV series?
Yeah, I honestly, it sounds a bit crazy, but if it's got a monkey in it, I love it. The TV series, I was just a little bit disappointed, like everybody else, that it was all cut short. Yeah. And to be honest, I actually thought that was the end of the whole thing. And especially when Mr. Burton came along and did his thing, I thought it would kill the franchise off completely.
Well, we're forgetting about something that came between the live-action series and the Tim Burton mess.
Yeah.
The animated series.
The animated series, Return to the Planet of the Apes, which Mark and I just finished all, 15 episodes?
It was 13 episodes.
I can honestly say, and put my hands up in shame, that although I've got them on DVD, I've never, ever watched them. I know. Shoot me.
Well, you can at least listen to our episodes where we talk about them, and then you'll know which ones to watch and which ones to avoid. Avoid the ones Richard liked and watch the ones I liked.
Yeah.
No, I certainly will. I mean, I love everything to do with apes, but things like cartoons and even down to the magazines, I'm not really into the comics side of things either.
Well, I got to tell you, some of the episodes in the animated series are actually really good. There are a couple that, if you listen to our show, you'll understand that I didn't like very much.
Yeah, and there's several controversies maybe you can weigh in on. Seeing vampires and pigs and
the puddle controversy.
And the big puddle controversy. we almost came to blows over that one.
So you got the DVDs. It's time to sit down and watch them.
I promise you I will.
All right, good. Well, you know what? Let's now talk about your fanzine, Simian Scrolls. Now, can you tell us all about this?
Well, it was actually started by a chappie called John Roach, who lives in the UK. John's, believe it or not, a solicitor. So, but John did the very first issue, which probably, my son's 16 now, and he would probably about 17 years ago, he produced this first issue on his own, and I somehow managed to get in touch with him, and it's steamrolled after that. We've got the guy called Dave Ballard on there as well, and initially it was going to be a biannual fanzine, but there's sometimes it's stretched out to just the one a year, because it's quite a lot of hard work putting something like this together. And obviously with the after the Burton fiasco, everything went pretty quiet. So you stretch for material, just like yourselves, with the TV series. And now that's all finished, you're obviously interviewing other things as well, just all to do with apes.
You really don't like the Burton fiasco, do you?
No one likes the Burton fiasco.
But he's brought it up 3 or 4 times, and we're only 2 minutes into the conversation.
Yeah, I know. We actually, I don't think we've ever done an article on Burton's film in the fanzine. It gets banned, the whole subject. So we're working on issue 20 at the moment, which is going to be an absolute bumper of an issue. Apes Old and New. And I've just completed interviews with Karen, who played Morris, Ty, who played Red, Red's the chappie who is the gorilla that turns Redcoat. He called him Donkey in it. He's a chap that shoots the soldier just as he's going to shoot Caesar in the finale.
Are you talking about from War of the Planet of the Apes?
Yeah, from War. Yes.
Yeah, I got a little confused because I thought you were talking about the original series.
Yeah, I'm thinking Maurice.
No, just that this next issue is going to be a crossover between the old and the new.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's exciting, though.
And just last week, Luca, Michael, who played Luca, they've all been interviewed, which is great. And then we've got the old apes. Ken Chase I interviewed for that one. So we even interviewed Blair. I can't remember his name now. He was a servant in The Tyrant. We managed to get in touch with him.
And that's from the live action series, The Tyrant.
On the TV series,
yes.
Yeah. So there's a bit of TV material in there as well.
Wow.
So yeah, it's going to be a real big bumper issue, which is probably going to come out a bit later this year, which is pretty cool.
Wow. Have you ever talked with Ron Harper or James Naughton from the TV series?
I haven't. A colleague has, Ron Harper. James is a bit reluctant to talk about the whole thing. I mean, I've written to him a few times, and he's always kindly sent autograph stuff back, but never accepted the invitation to be interviewed, sadly. I won't stop trying.
So is that how we get autograph stuff from him? We just send out an invite to the show, and even though he doesn't come on the show?
Yeah, no, he's very responsive through, because that's one of my fetishes. I love collecting autographs and quite a vast ape collection of autographs. And no, James is very good at signing through the mail.
Right. Well, we met Ron Harper, and he seemed very interested in coming on our show until his agent stepped in. And then...
And thought he could make a few bucks. It's like, dude, it's a podcast. It's a labor of fan love. Just let your client talk with us. Then people will know where he's going to be next time, and you'll get hordes of fans. And if it hadn't been for Mark, I wouldn't have known about this.
Yeah.
But that autograph signing.
Yeah, I was literally walking distance from where I live, and it was great meeting him, and he was telling us stories, and it's like, oh my God, if we could record this. And once again, just so the fans know, he was very receptive, and it was like, yeah, I definitely want to do your show. And then his agent, who was there, overheard, and he immediately intercepted. And agents should really realize that, hey, this gets people back into the limelight. If he came on our show, then a ton of fans would know where he's autographing next, and get more attention on the client. And we would love to talk to him. Like I said, he was telling us really great stories. It would have been awesome to have him on the show.
Yeah, one of our goals here on Talking Apes TV is to have a reunion with Ron Harper and James Naughton. How mind-blowing would that be to get these two guys together again?
Good luck.
Well,
I mean, never say never, but that would be it would be mind-blowing. But I don't know about that one.
Have you ever had a chance to talk with Roddy McDowell?
No, the closest was Kim Hunter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
Yeah. Oh, a long time ago. I managed to contact her, obviously, with autographs, again for Simian Scrolls. And she she was lovely. She used to write regularly to me, the old-fashioned way, not by email. And she forwarded me her telephone number and managed to chat to her on the phone and things.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was pen pals once with Linda Harrison.
Yeah. Linda moves around, but she was lovely. Yeah. She's gone undercover. She disappeared off the scene a little bit, though.
Now, we had mentioned in the intro that the Simian Scrolls contains the interviews and articles and comic strips. Can you go a little bit more in-depth for those ape fans who have not read an issue yet?
If they haven't read an issue, that's disgraceful.
Oh, it really is. But
I mean, all the issue, I don't know how, on Hunter's website, we give him permission to put this stuff on there. I mean, Hunter's website is probably the main source to go to get anything to do with apes, because everybody in the community just contributes to his website. It's probably the one to look at, to be fair.
Oh yeah, when Mark and I were doing our research for Talking Apes TV for every episode, we would always head right for the Hunter's archives.
Oh yeah, it's to be honest, it's probably the only one to go to. It's just so up to date. It's phenomenal. John's the editor who puts it all together, and Dave does all the artwork and the layout and things like that, which he does a phenomenal job. My job really is to go out and try and find the celebs or the makeup artists involved with it all and just interview them. I mean, I've got the best job, I reckon, the interviewing all these people and, putting that together. Met some brilliant people, just like Bobby Porter. Linda Harris was lovely. Harrison.
Wow.
Because it's a friendship that you get between them. It's not like you just interview them on the day and it's forgotten. There's a little bit of communication beforehand, so you become almost good friends, and then they get to know you. And it's during the interview that they mention about, say, oh, I've got photos that have never been published before, and they provide you with them. It's so you get the chance to see some of this material that will never ever see the light of day. It's just, yeah. Because with like when I interviewed Dan Strypeak, who was John Chambers' right-hand man, he'd obviously done a little bit of work on us, and the next minute he mentioned that he'd had these masks in storage and whether we'd like them, which because he knew they wouldn't end up on eBay. So I received a chimp mask and a lot of hands that Roddy McDowall used in the TV series because he was fed up with having the makeup done on his hands, so they made gloves.
And he had some of this foam latex still in good condition?
Oh, they were mint, yeah.
Wow. What pieces did he send you? You were mentioning some hand pieces?
Yeah, well, he sent me Roddy McDowall's chimp appliance that wasn't used. It was an unused piece, but it's all been, it was ready to be laid on, so it's still on the mould itself. He then sent me a pullover gorilla mask, which another friend had, and then some hand pieces, because Roddy was obviously by the time the TV series came on, he was a bit reluctant to be in makeup all the time, so they cut corners, and you've probably seen them. There's a few photos from the TV series where he's got these hideous hairy gloves on.
Yeah. So
that was purely to keep him happy, and so Dan sent me about 4 hand pieces that he still had, and Roddy McDowall's original wig that he wore in the TV series as well. Sent me that.
Wow. I hope it's been washed.
No, it's still in this box. It's hardly come out. Probably a few dust mites in there, probably. I don't know. But it's all. And it's because I think Dan knew that we would look after these pieces and not throw them on eBay and things like that, which we still treasure to this day.
Well, I'll tell you something that's interesting about your Simian Scrolls when I was kind of looking through them. Mm-hmm. You not only, you're talking about these bigger names that you interview, but you also interviewed some of the smaller names too. I found it interesting that you interviewed this guy, and it's in the latest issue 19. You interviewed this guy, John Garwood, who played the police gorilla in The Good Seeds, which was a lot of people's favorite episodes. When we put a thing out there, asking people what their favorite episode was, so many people said The Good Seeds, including myself. And so even getting those interviews with the smaller characters those are really fascinating to read as well.
I think it's a case of, sadly, none of us are getting any younger, and all these stars are just sadly passing away. So it's working the way down to the smaller parts as well. It's just nice to get their stories before it's too late and get it on record,
Right. Yeah. Which interview really surprised you the most?
Well, that'd be Bobby Porter, because he never stops talking. But Wright King, who played Dr. Galen in The Surgeon.
Oh, right.
Right. Okay.
And The Surgeon. Yeah. So
no, he was the surgeon, and he played Galen. Remember that little tiny part?
I get it. So he was the surgeon in the first film.
Yeah,
there's
named Galen.
So many people played so many apes that it just gets confusing after a while.
And he played Dr. Galen, and he was the one who was going to dissect old Charlton Heston and Linda. But he was one of the few ones that had full hair arms.
Right.
The arms all the way up, like Buck did. But he was lovely. I mean, he's been quite high up in Hollywood with lots of, like Twilight Zone and things like that. But he very kindly passed a transparency on to me, and it was a test shoot photo before he went in front of the camera, which was
oh wow,
brilliant of him. Yeah, so another thing that may never have surfaced if he hadn't sent it on to us.
Aside from James Naughton, was there any other guest that said, no, I'm going to leave that behind me?
To be honest, the only one I've had, I think it's just because they're slightly busy. Nobody's actually said a flat no. They're all lovely. I think it was, can't remember his name now. William Craber, is it? Who was like he designed some of the sets for the first film.
Right.
He was a flat straight no, so I thought, well, I'll give up on that one. It wasn't even a nice email, so. but all the rest are just so, brilliant to interview. And I think the fact that it's all so long ago and then you get in touch with them again, it just resurrects them and they just enjoy the fact that people are still talking about it.
Now, seeing how you're very in-depth in the Planet of the Apes fandom, we got to ask you the burning question. Felix Silla or Gary Dubin? Who played the gorilla child in Planet of the Apes?
I think it's a memory thing. I interviewed Gary Dubin some time ago, and he was absolutely adamant it was him. Yeah, it's bizarre. I'll send you the. In fact, I think that's going to be another one that's going to be in this issue of Scrolls. I'm just wondering if they used maybe his voice for it.
Which is what I've been saying. We've talked to Gary Dubin, and he, like you said, is very, very adamant. And I don't think he's lying. I just think there's another point of view that he's looking through.
Right, and unfortunately, he passed away before we came up with the idea, or I should say Richard came up with the idea that maybe Felix Silla, was the actor behind the makeup, but Gary Dubin did the voice. So we never got a chance to ask him that. But now, now that you're kind of saying that, and Richard has also kind of been theorizing that maybe that is what happened. Because when we talked to Gary Dubin, no doubt in his mind that he was that gorilla child. Yeah,
well, when during the interview, he talks about being on set. He was definitely there on the recording of some scenes. Yeah, he did say that he did it's definitely his voice, but he was adamant that he was there as well. I've never heard Felix Silla say that he played the gorilla, although you do see him in the gorilla, outfits and makeup.
And he's smoking too, which I tend to believe that wasn't a 10-year-old Gary Dubin.
Yeah, I've never heard him say that he was the gorilla soldier either, but I've heard other people, they've emailed us saying, no, that's Felix Silla. No, that's Felix Silla. So one of these days, like when you go to the comic book conventions, I'm looking for Felix Silla because I'll have my recorder with me and I will see if I can get an answer from him, because maybe he'll say, no, that was Gary Dubin, or, I did the body, he did the voice. Maybe he'll have an answer. Well, he should have an answer.
Yeah, well, I think he will. And he does the scenes, and he's obviously done all these conventions, but there was lots of scenes where there were other gorilla children in the film.
I think there's only one child gorilla, and I believe Gary Dubin, he pointed that out to us. He's like, I'm the only child gorilla. And I think if you think back to the first movie, there might be like child chimps or whatever, but I think there was only one gorilla in that scene. I could be wrong, and if any of the fans out there, know that I'm wrong, post it on Facebook, let me know.
Yeah, but it's a bit like the debate about the first film where there's a female gorilla in it.
Oh.
I haven't heard that debate.
Wait, go on.
Well, the people saying there's no female gorillas, and they're saying that there is one in that scene again where Gary Dubin is.
Oh, well, yeah, his mom. Yeah. His mom comes to get their little child, so that would make sense.
But I would think that the photos you see of somebody with a cigarette is definitely Felix.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Because Gary's only a youngster, literally a youngster, when he went to go for the audition.
Yeah, but you hear these stories about these children actors. Look at Drew Barrymore and some of the others that get mentioned. So, I don't know.
She didn't smoke cigarettes, okay?
Oh, no, okay.
No, but if that interview doesn't go into Simian Scrolls, I'll send it on to you, because he talks about being in the makeup chair, the whole thing.
What? Oh,
wait. Why would he be in the makeup chair if somebody else was doing the body? If Felix Silla was the body, then Gary Dubin would never be in the makeup chair. So now you just blew that theory out of the water.
Now, we are going to say that we're not going to name names, but someone did say that Felix Silla does claim he is a lot of characters when he really isn't. Not going to say who said that.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah. So I don't know what to believe anymore.
I don't think Gary would be the one smoking a cigarette, that's for sure. But he talked about being on set, talking to people, the makeup chair, and how he suffered a bit with claustrophobia with it at the initial, and they had to stop doing the makeup and then gently start applying it on him. It's pretty in-depth, what he talks about.
Yeah, I'm sure there's got to be an answer somewhere, because when we talked to Gary Dubin, I mean, he was so sure that it was him, and he told these great stories, and I'm still believing him. If you want my opinion, I think it was him. I don't know about this Felix Silla, because I've only heard secondhand that it's Felix Silla. Now, of course, if you go to Felix Silla's IMDb page, I think he is listed as something in Planet of the Apes, the original movie.
Gorilla Child.
Gorilla, is he? Is that what it is?
Yes.
And he also, if you do a search on Google, you will actually find pictures of that Gorilla Child signed by Felix Silla, because we found a couple of those. So it is really confusing, but as of right now, until I hear differently, I'm on Gary Dubin's side. I really think that after talking to him, I'd be real interested in reading the interview that you did with him.
This would make a very good CSI episode.
Hey, there is a test shoot from the first film that's got Felix Silla as a chimp, and there was also Jerry Marin in there as well, another dwarf.
Oh, we haven't seen those. You know, we talk about Gary Dubin so much, we should do a podcast, you know, the Gary Dubin podcast, and just explore this issue. And
every once in a while, we'll talk about Jaws 2.
Yeah. Although we know he was in Jaws 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm actually in touch with Erlyn Botello, and she was, in fact, the whole Botello family. That they were in the first 5 films, the brothers and sisters, and Erlyn she had various parts in the first film. She was in that surgeon bit with Dr. Galen. She was like the nurse in there, and she also played a mother in the museum walking around with a smaller child. And I trying to get out of her if she can remember who that smaller child was she was walking around with.
You know what? Maybe we're going about this all wrong. Maybe we should talk to someone who did some scenes or worked with Gary Dubin on Jaws 2, because I'm sure back then he was trying to brag about this or that and what he was in, and I'm sure apes would have come up. So maybe back then was a whole different story than it was 2 years ago. Because sometimes over time, people change stories.
Oh, absolutely, man. I can't remember what I did last week, so I don't how people, what they did 30, 40 years ago is beyond me.
So, Mark, make a note of this. Got to talk to Bruce.
Okay, let's talk to the shark.
Now, for Simian Scrolls, do you have a white whale? Someone who you've just been trying to get, other than Ron Harper or James Naughton, that just keeps eluding you?
Not really. Well, the ones that have eluded me are probably the ones who've deceased.
Well, you can't really blame them, can you?
No, exactly. No, it's a race against time. I would say the Holy Grail would be James Naughton if we could get him.
Right. All right, now, before we wrap things up, tell us once again what we can expect in your upcoming issue number 20.
Besides the Gary Dubin interview, which we are waiting for.
Yeah.
You have to put it in now.
Yeah, we've got the front design done already, so it is definitely a crossover between the future and the past apes. So we've got the Gary Dubin in there. There's also Ken Chase, who was Maurice Evans' makeup artist. I've interviewed him. We've also got Claire Bybee, who was, like I say, the servant in The Tyrant. He's in that one. And the 3 members. In fact, we've got 4 members. There's also a soldier from the war. Chad Rock, his name is. He's being interviewed. So,
wow.
And apart from that's the interviews that I know of. And then there's other bits and pieces in there, other articles which I never see until it comes out.
Okay, good.
But it'll be a bit of a bumper issue, this one. That originally we used to print it. It used to be a printed version that used to be sent out to everybody. But now it's because of the size of each issue. It's an online thing now. It's free, but we do put it online and then just print a few hard copies for the people that we interview so we can send them through the post to them.
So if the ape fans out there want to get a hold of Simian Scrolls, where can they go to get this?
If the back issues are all, like I say, on Hunter's site, and the other one, if you're all on the various Facebook discussion groups, you will see a link to it. As soon as it's ready, it will be posted on.
Okay.
You know, I mean, there's hundreds of Facebook things towards apes, but the vast majority of them will have links to it.
All right. And the website is pota.gottlieb, GOATLEY.com. And then from there, apes can go and find the Simian Scroll fanzines, which are just incredible.
It might be easier for them to just Google Hunter's Planet of the Apes archives.
Absolutely.
Well, they can do that too.
Yeah, no, it's just packed with information. That site, it's brilliant. He does a good job.
Oh yeah, like we were saying earlier, when we do our research, we always go there first, and most likely we don't have to go anywhere else because it's just so jam packed with information and audio recordings and everything. Now, if the Talking Apes TV apes out there want to get a hold of you, Dean, how can they find you on social media?
I'm on Facebook. They can get us in touch with us there. It's dead easy. It's just Dean Preston. I'm actually in New Zealand, and you'll see the profile will be a monkey of some sort anyway, so it's just a bit of a giveaway.
And we should let everybody know that we're actually recording. We're in Long Beach, California, and you're where in New Zealand?
We're probably about 2.5 hours south of Auckland. We're in the Bay of Plenty. So it's actually Tuesday, 11 o'clock in the morning here.
Well, you're a day ahead of us.
Yes, if you got the lotto today, I can find out and then send you the numbers so you can buy the ticket.
If you could send that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, done.
And Simian Scrolls for everybody. All right. Is there anything else you want to tell us about Simian Scrolls?
I would just recommend people go out. We actually do rely a lot on contributions as well. It's not just the people involved in it. We do rely on other people sending in bits and pieces. But the more the merrier. It's just spreading the word. You know, it's a labour of love like yourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we're certainly not getting paid a dime for it. But yeah, I'd be lost without it, to be fair.
Yeah, like we were saying earlier, there's so many interviews with past cast and crew. There's comic strips. There's tons of articles. And when we were doing our research on this, we opened up a couple of issues and just found ourselves reading and reading and reading. There's so much stuff there that I never knew before.
We're proud of it.
Yeah. Well, you should be, because you guys do a great service to the ape community.
Thank you. The other thing is, you might want to, you obviously know about Will and this documentary he's making, don't you? Making Apes.
Yeah, I know Bobby Porter had mentioned it.
You want to tell our fans a little bit more about it?
I don't want to steal Will's thunder, but I have been helping him with it. Obviously, I got Bobby in touch with Will, and Bobby's right behind it now with Lou Wagner. But it really is, he's managing to interview majority of the makeup artists that were involved in the films to get their stories, because they tend to be the ones who are forgotten. It's always the stars. And he's interviewed quite a lot of the big names. It's probably best if you talk to Will, because I really don't want to spoil it for him.
Do you think you could send us his contact information and we can have him on a future TV special?
Yeah, he lives in he's in your neck of the woods anyway.
Good deal.
And he's doing it in conjunction with Tom Berman, who was
makeup artist.
Yeah, and so Tommy, Dan Stripeek, and Chambers all worked together on the first film. So yeah, Tommy Berman's really behind it all with Will's assistant, and they're looking at something next year. Some of it's being edited as we speak, but I think the release is probably going to be about November next year in LA.
Maybe he can interview us and we'll get on the documentary.
That would be awesome. Oh, yeah.
That would be awesome.
Got to join all these ape communities. As Caesar would say, ape together strong.
Exactly. So I'm sure he'll chat away about it, but because I've seen little snippets, which looks really cool.
Yeah, when you get a chance, send us his contact info, and we'll reach out to him and start the promotion going.
Yeah, absolutely. Any promotion's good for it. I think they're doing a pledge thing where people can contribute towards it, and they're going to give things as gifts and things, like signed items. And
you mean a Kickstarter campaign?
Yeah, like the Kickstarter. Yeah. If you go onto Facebook, it's called Making Apes.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and we'll see what we can do about starting to spread the word on our Facebook page.
Absolutely.
And whatever donation I need to make to get Urko's helmet, I'm there.
Yeah, I don't know who's got that one.
Hopefully soon I will. You know what? I'll pay for it, look inside of it, and go, okay, I'm good.
There you go.
No, you got to put it on your head and see if it comes off.
Yeah, that's right. I got to go the distance with that.
As long as your head doesn't come out the same shape.
Awesome. All right, Dean. Well, thank you very much for your time and for telling us all about Simian Scrolls. And for all the ape fans out there, if you want to get to Simian Scrolls, well, just Google Hunter's Planet of the Apes archives, and it'll be right there. All right, Dean.
Enjoy them.
Once again, thank you very much, and we look forward to talking to you again, maybe in the future, about something else that you're working on.
Yeah, no worries. It's been good fun, guys. And like I say, I'll drop you those details. All right, guys.
All right.
Take care.
Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Now, before we wrap up this episode of the Talking Apes TV special...
Name pending. I'm still going with Talking Apes TV special, but go on.
I'm still hoping that somebody out there in our listenership has something better.
Don't think it can get better than that.
We wanted to read a great Facebook message from Anthony Pomis.
Now, Anthony writes, just wanted to let you know how much I enjoyed listening to the Talking Apes TV podcast. After listening to it most of this past summer, I enjoyed and missed it so much that I actually am listening to the episodes all over again. That is awesome. And then Anthony continues, I wonder if you guys have considered doing a few more episodes based around the Planet of the Apes short story collections, along with the movie novelizations now in mass market paperback. I also see that there's a new Planet of the Apes board game being released November 29th. Maybe you and Mark could play the game in real time on the mics, and that could be a new episode. Oh boy. You guys make a great and entertaining team. I hope that there will be more to come. All the best, Anthony Pomis. Well, Mark, what do you think about those ideas?
I'm not sure about playing the board game for that would be a week-long live broadcast.
Yeah, so you know what? We'll put that one on the back burner.
We should probably tell people, though, when it comes to the short stories, we haven't really decided to do episodes on the short stories, but we have reached out to at least one author that we've been communicating with to have on the show relatively soon.
Yeah. Okay, since you already announced Bobby Porter at the beginning of the show, can I announce this guest?
You mean E.C. Gaska?
Mark, Ape Together Strong. Did you not learn anything from War for the Planet of the Apes?
I'm still an Urko guy, and I think Urko would have done it the way I did it.
All right. Too bad I wasn't editing this episode.
Live action Urko.
Wait a minute, I am editing this episode. But okay, fine. That's right. E.C. Gaska, who wrote The Unknown Ape and Planet of the Apes Tales from the Forbidden Zone. We're planning on the next week or so to talk to him because we've got so many questions about Conspiracy for the Planet of the Apes, the book he wrote in 2011, plus The Unknown Ape. And to remind everyone, this is the story that combines all the timelines from the movies, from the TV shows, from the animated shows. I just can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah, I really can't wait either because I really like that short story in the book, and we talked about it in a past episode, and we had questions when we were talking about it, and I believe one of us, I don't remember which one, even said, we got to get him on the show.
And just one more note on E.C. Gaska. Fox had hired him to be a consultant on future Planet of the Apes. Whether it be movie tie-ins, whether it be books, whether it be anything, he is the consultant. If they're reaching out to him and he really specializes in vintage apes, put two and two together there, Mark.
I guess that means he's going to be consulting them. No, in all seriousness, I hope, and we'll talk to him about this, that means that they're really trying hard to get the new movies to work in sync with the classic movies.
Right. And I see it as we're going to get more vintage and classic Apes product out there. Maybe that Netflix special we've been talking about, the Netflix series or Hulu series, something.
That would be cool.
You know what? They're contacting him for something, and you know what? Maybe we'll get him to crack. I'm sure he's signed an NDA, but you know what? We've got a way of making people talk. All right, so speaking of talking, that will do it for us on this new episode of Talking Apes TV. Mark, go ahead and say it. Special. Go ahead and say it.
The Talking Apes TV
Special.
Mini podcast special. How about that? Mini podcast special or interview specials or Planet of the Apes. How about just Talking Apes TV
Special?
But if we just keep it as Talking Apes TV with no special, then we can just say that, hey, we're continuing the show.
Well, I think we should leave the Talking Apes TV to talking about the Apes TV shows. And since we're done with that, I think that we should brand it as something new.
Okay, I'm going to say something that I probably have never said on the show, but I think I agree with you on that. I don't agree with you on the title just yet, but I do agree with you maybe the branding needs to be different.
I'm sorry, Mark. I had fallen on the floor. What did you just say that you agreed with me?
I don't remember that, and thank God we didn't record it. You're going to now probably insert excerpts of me saying it over and over and over again in every episode from here to eternity. But I do agree with you. Maybe the branding. But I do agree with you, maybe the branding. Is it now going to be your ringtone?
Oh, good. It is now. All right, now we want to give a huge thank you to Dean Preston for coming on the show. And of course, we always want to thank Rob Dellinger for composing our theme song and Angela Rushmare for posting on our Facebook page. And she does a lot for the Hunters Planet of the Apes archive, too. Woman keeps busy. And of course, I want to thank my sweetie wife, Sarah, for doing all the behind-the-scenes technical work on Talking Apes TV. Whether it be the TV or the special, either one, she's the go-to girl. All right, Mark, until next time, and there will be a next time, this is Richard.
This is Mark.
Saying, Go Ape! Special.